Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show, brought to you by FantasyDonks.com, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know to start playing daily fantasy sports. I'm Sean Big Papa Williams.
I'm Jamie Learjet Lear.
And I'm Adrian Woodruff.
And we'll be bringing you all the action for this week's Good Sam 500 from Phoenix International Raceway and all the plays you need to make to be hopefully successful this week in Daily Fantasy NASCAR. And we'll get right into this week's action first with Lear giving us the track breakdown. Lear, what does it look like this week?
All right, boys. What's the good word? Good to spend another week with you, boys. Looking forward to this Good Sam 500. It'll be coming from Avondale, Arizona, at Phoenix International Raceway. The track is 1.022 miles in length, 312 laps to complete the race. It's a tri-oval, low-banked track. Turns range only to about 10 degrees or less. This tri-oval is part of the smaller tracks that they do run here on the Sprint Cup circuit. It has some really exciting racing, mostly 2x2 racing with occasional 3-wide. This is a small track, so laps led will become a premium for your DFS driver this week. Most upfront cars will stay up front. It's really difficult to go from the back of the pack to all the way up towards the front. But it's going to be a lot of lapping traffic. Cars can quickly get laps down, so that'll be tough to make that up. And then going to be really just a difficult chance as far as that is concerned for you to have your guy for a place differential to move up. So key here is going to be picking drivers that stay up front, lead laps. Probably Kevin Harvick, as 80% at least of you out there are going to play him in your GPP lineup. But the races for NASCAR started here in 1978 at Phoenix International Raceway. Interesting fact here, Chevy has won most, I think we just added up, it was 21 out of 39 total races here. The last 24 races, only 5 other makes other than Chevy have won the race. So out of 24 times, 19 of those times, Chevy has won in the last 24. With Kevin Harvick winning 5 out of the last 10 races. So just crazy statistics for Kevin Harvick here at Phoenix International Raceway. Race will be Sunday, March 13th at 3:30 Eastern on Fox. Weather is 78 degrees, sunny. Again, 0% chance of precipitation. Wind will not be as significant as it was last week in Las Vegas with a measly 8 miles an hour coming from the west. So that from weather.com. But looking forward to this one, boys.
Yeah, basically, I just want to throw this out there. The video may be a little sketchy at times. Thank you, Caesar's Palace, for the internet. And also, guys, we got to get DFS back in Vegas. This has been killing out here. The ultimate question is to Harvick or not to Harvick this week. And I know we aren't going to talk about him because this is just that kind of obvious play. Do you think that the strategy should be fading him, or do you go with him most of the time?
I would definitely go with Harvick. Like in any chance I can, Harvick, I'm gonna Harvick. It's always good to have a contrarian style when you're going at this because Kevin Harvick is in one of those situations like Dale Earnhardt Jr. was at in the Daytona 500. Everybody saw the speed that car had. Dale had great track history at Daytona. Kevin Harvick's in the same kind of spot this week. As soon as we transition into the burning rubber, we'll get into it. But Harvick's been very impressive here. He's the most expensive player on the board. DraftKings they've recognized how successful he's been at Phoenix and these style of tracks over the years. You can't go wrong playing Kevin Harvick, but you just got to remember that everyone else is going to have Kevin Harvick too.
All right. With that said, I think it's perfect time to transition into the Burning Rubber segment.
Burning rubber, baby. That's because the women and child are in bed. So,
women plural, you're doing better than I thought.
I meant woman.
That's a lifelong commitment he made, Papa.
All right, boys. Adrian, go ahead and give us your Burning Rubber pick, man.
I love you, Kim.
We just mentioned him a little bit, but Kevin Harvick is my Burning Rubber pick. Like I said, he's the most expensive player on the board. He starts 18th, but some of these stats that I'm going to throw out to you are going to it's going to persuade you pretty well. Kevin Harvick has 7 career wins that leads all active drivers. He's won 5 of the last 7 races at Phoenix. That's unheard of. I mean, those are like the only time you hear numbers like that was back when Jimmy Johnson was dominating in like 2008. It's just incredible. He has wins at Phoenix, and out of the last 1,155 laps they ran at Phoenix, he's led all but 300. So I'm just wearing them out as far as laps led go. And there's something that you're really going to need. And Kevin Harvick he's like a vacuum for those lap sled points at Phoenix. It's just like they can't keep him away from him. But it's Kevin Harvick's favorite track. I was listening to practice today, and Kevin said, he was explaining to the reporter that this track just really suits his braking style, the way that he can get down into the corners and just maintain, like, cooking the line in 3 and 4, where a lot of drivers will wash up the track. Kevin just seems to be able to save tires and just be fast all at the same time. Kevin has an average start of 16th at Phoenix and an average finish of 11th. So, place differential there. He's starting 18th, so, even just going on averages, he's going to finish in the top 10. And he's I don't know what it is about Harvick, but I think he's so good at Phoenix, and I've seen it with other drivers at different tracks over the years, with drivers like Jimmy Johnson at Lowe's Motor Speedway or Charlotte Motor Speedway. When the driver gets behind Kevin in practice, Kevin seems to like back off or like want to get away from him. It's like Kevin doesn't want to run around any of his competitors in practice because he doesn't want them to see anything that he's got in the car. He doesn't want to reveal anything. So I don't know if you can read more into that, but go ahead, Jamie. What do you think about Kevin Harvick this week?
Oh, I'm definitely right there with you, brother, as far as liking some Kevin Harvick. But no, it's crazy how he just knows when to lay off the gas going into the turns, and then just knows when to lay right back on it, coming out of the turn. And he just got that track down, and he really knows it's like the back of his hand. So, I'm definitely going to be Harvicking this week. But I'm also going to be inputting lineups to, basically save myself. And just in case, it does happen like, Dale Earnhardt with Daytona and Rex, and, 60% of the lineups are taken out of the GPP. So it's just picking that right combination. And I don't know. I think he's going to have a more difficult time than people really believe, coming from that 18th spot. But I really think that, 50 laps into it, he's going to be right up there in the front, starting to lead, majority of the laps in this race.
Yeah, and another thing you got to look at is, I don't mean to butt in, Papa,
go ahead, dude.
Another thing you got to look at this track is you're going to have a lot of opportunities for fastest laps. And just last week at Vegas, I mean, Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson, 2 of the guys who were just absolutely, it was just like every other lap. It was just like fastest lap, fastest lap, fastest lap. And the thing is, when Rodney Childers and Chad Canals, Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick's crew chiefs, they're very deceptive. And they're ones that maybe want to come in laps early on a green flag run. And when a driver does that, I don't know if most people realize that, but when a driver hits early and they go back out on the track, we saw it last week with Jimmy Johnson, but when they take tires, everyone else is still on old tires. So Jimmy was just racking up all the fastest laps because his tires were so much fresher. And if you have crew chiefs like that take risks, that helps a lot too. But go ahead, Papa.
No, dude, that was actually great analysis, man. Interrupt me anytime to add jibs like that. No, I think we're all agreeing that he's clearly the play. What I'm going to suggest and what I'm going to talk about here a little bit is your strategy versus for the fade. And Lear and I were really profitable in the Daytona 500, and I only did 2 lineups out of my set that weren't Dale Jr. But I would recommend if you're running 5 lineups, at least 2 of them should be non-Harvick lineups.
I completely agree. Yes. Yeah.
And other than that, man, there's not much more to add. The dude just owns this track, and it is what it is.
What more can you say? Yeah.
All right. Well, that said, Lear, who's your burning rubber pick this week, buddy?
All right, my burning rubber guy. I'm staying in the Chevy family. I'm going with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 88. He's got a chance to go back winning, at Phoenix last year at the Quicken Loans race for Heroes 500. Now, granted, during that race, he only led 22 laps, but Earnhardt has a strong history here. He's got 27 races under his belt, 3 wins, 8 top 5s, 13 top 10s. His average start is 16th with an average finish of around the same 16th. He starts this week in the 26th spot, which is a great spot for him to come up through the through the race there. And him and his Chevy are going to be ready to defend that title. His team will have to make some improvements during the race, make those adjustments, and they will have to have a smart strategy going into this race as well. And along with, the thinking of the, the 48 team in Chad Canals, and they will have to take some risks, to get up towards the front, because you can't just keep running the race and not do anything different and not expect to get up towards the front. So there are going to have a lot of teams doing a lot of different strategies to get up to that front of the race. So, but I'm banking on him and to at least have a top 5 finish and, finish with some fastest laps under his belt as well. And hopefully, leading some laps. And with his cost only being $9,200, I think that's a good price for the name of Dale Earnhardt. Plus, he's got a lot of experience here at Phoenix. And I think that plays to his advantage this week as well. And starting from that 26th spot, it's just too juicy not to plug him in.
Yeah, Lear, I like the junior play. I'm just not on him this week. I find myself either spinning up to find other drivers or spinning down to try to squeeze in the more elite drivers. And we know that Junior, because of his name and who he is, in DFS NASCAR always carries an over ownership percentage, and he's going to be at least 45% owned. He always is. I just don't see a reason to play a guy that's 45% owned that's not in the fastest of cars this week. He's not with that group that's running well. Adrian, what are your thoughts, bud?
Well, Junior, he's had success in the past at Phoenix. He has 3 career wins. Jamie mentioned he has a top 10 in 5 of the last 6 Phoenix races. All of his last 6 races have had positive place differential. I don't think you can read much into the fact that they haven't had speed early. It just seems that they'll get that car dialed in, come closer to a race. And the 88 team is one of those teams that makes a lot of adjustments on the Saturday night before the Sunday race. It just seems that they'll make a lot of positive changes to the car. And you really don't need – if Junior finishes in the top 10, it's a successful pick. So, and he's not going to wreck the car. He's one of the veteran drivers. It's weird to say that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a veteran, but I guess it's the truth now.
He is.
He's just really smart, and he's going to manage the tires. On long green flag runs, he's not going to be one of the drivers that's fading to the back. He never is. He's always hard charging on the long runs. I think he wants to go out here and prove that his win at Phoenix when they were here last time out during the chase. I think he wants to prove that it wasn't a fluke, due to the rain out. I'm on Junior this week. I like it.
Fair enough. I guess it's 2 to 1. So you guys are clearly winning that argument, at least until Sunday. We'll see who comes out on top of their lineups. That brings me to my burner rubber pick for the week, Carl Edwards. He's got 2 wins, 7 top 5s, 12 top 10s, and he'll be way under owned. We know that in DFS, for some reason, people just do not play Carl Edwards. Every time, even on tracks he's dominant at, people just come in. He comes in way under owned. And I think that even for the most part, he's one of those drivers that doesn't have a huge fan following, even in the NASCAR circuit. And I think that also contributes to him having a lower ownership percentage. And I'm getting a super fast JGR car that's starting second. He's surrounded by the rest of his teammates, so he's going to get laps led, probably fastest laps within that draft pack of those 4 cars, 5 if you include Truex, that are all in the top 7 starting off. I love this team, and I love the JGR stacks this week, especially if you're going contrarian against Harvick and Johnson. I think that's the way you can isolate yourself from the field, pepper in the value to make it happen, and you can easily fit 4 of the JGR drivers and or Truex, which I kind of consider a JGR equipment setup guy like this year. Like, he's basically part of Team JGR and has been running like so. I think that these cars just have an edge on the favorites at this track, especially with ownership percentage. And he's the cheapest of the elites at $9,400. Sign me up. What do you guys think, Adrian?
I like Carl Edwards. I can't remember the last time I haven't done a complete JGR stack. I mean, if I was doing that, Denny Hamlin's the one I leave off. Obviously, I don't know. He's just struggled lately to me. Ever since he won Daytona, he just seemed to be, in a bit of a slump. But Carl Edwards is one of those drivers who, like Papa said, you got to have him in doing that JGR stack. He has 2 career Phoenix wins. The track fits his driving style very well. The Gibbs cars are super fast. He has an average start of 12th and an average finish of 12th at Phoenix. He's just one of those safe plays. I mean, there's a lot of options to go with, but Carl Edwards isn't a bad one. Jamie?
They're with you, fellas. I definitely like Carl Edwards starting at that second position because it's pretty much guaranteed that he's going to hang out in the top 2-3 cars for the first at least, 30, 40 laps, with some chance to lead some there. So I definitely like Carl, towards the beginning of the race, but I'm a little bit worried that he may fade back a little bit. But I'll sprinkle him in here and there, but it's one player that I'm not completely all sold in on. So,
all right, I think that gets us right to where we need to be. It's time to talk about our value plays this week. Adrian, start us off, buddy.
For my value pick this week, I'm going to roll out Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon is the lowest salary on the board at $5,400. He starts from the 28th position. We had a lot of success from the 28th starting spot last week with Trevor Bayne, which was a great call, guys. Congratulations on that. And if you watch the show, you had success there. He doesn't have a lot of sampling as far as cup starts go at the Phoenix track. He has 4 Xfinity starts here. They're 10th, 4th, 6th, and 5th. So obviously he likes this track decently, and he has a moderate level of success here. Those are Xfinity stats, but we can kind of look into that because a lot of the Cup guys were in the Xfinity series on a regular basis. Tony Stewart's been at the track all weekend, kind of coaching Ty through what his responsibilities are, and just trying to help him make sure the weekend goes really smooth. And Tony did the same thing for him in Atlanta. In Atlanta, he started 18th and finished 17th. So that's what you need from a min-price guy. And he has a lot to prove. He wants to prove that there's a real reason that he's in Tony Stewart's car. A lot of people found out Ty Dillon was going to be in that car, and they thought that it wasn't kind of unfair for a lot of other drivers. And I just think Ty's going to go out there and really show him why he was given that opportunity. He's in high caliber equipment, driving the 14 car. That's Kevin Harvick's teammate. Kevin Harvick was my burn and rubber pick, of course, and so pretty much they're producing the same car theoretically out of the shop. So you got to love Ty Dillon this week. He has 2 truck starts here. He's finished 15th and 4th. He's pretty decent at Phoenix, and I don't have a problem at all rostering him, especially at 5,400. What do you think, Jamie?
I mean, if you're all over the Kevin Harvick play, do you think he's not, sharing tips about what he does at the track with Ty Dillon? They do race for the same team, so. But I definitely, you can't get any better than picking a guy that's qualified that late and is the minimal as far as cost is concerned. You just can't. If you're going to go with the studs, the most cost, and that's the crazy part. The guy that costs the most is Kevin Harvick. The guy that costs the least is Ty Dillon. They both are on the same team. So
and in the same equipment.
Yeah, same equipment, everything. So that might be a real good sneak play right there. Yep.
Yeah, I like it, and he's already become a staple on several of my lineups. And to be honest, he was one of the last. He's in the grouping of the last of the fast cars on the track that weren't like a second off the pace in qualifying and in the early practice. Yep. So. I really like that play, and I'm rostering him all over the place.
Yeah, also with Ty Dillon, he starts in 28th, and like Papa just nailed it right there. Pretty much from 30th on back, I think that none of those drivers can keep up with everyone that's ahead of them. Mm-hmm. There's a few drivers sprinkled past the 30th starting spot, but for the most part, it's the teams that are just trying to make it by every week, and it's not the teams that are really going to try to challenge for a top 20 finish. So I think you can feel pretty safe as long as he doesn't have a part malfunction or something go wrong with the car.
Sure.
Ty Dillon has pretty much a nice buffer behind him, if you're asking me.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I think it's a must play this week. Lear, who's your value guy?
My value play this week is one AJ Allmendinger. AJ is obviously, one of those road course specialists. But should do, fairly good in his Fry Scott Chevy. He's raced here 13 times with 2 top 10 finishes. He starts this week from the 22nd spot and should have at least a top 15 car, in my opinion. This is kind of one of those plug and play kind of guys. When you need a salary relief, driver, from all your Kevin Harvick plays. I'm looking for AJ to at least produce 30 to 40 points this week. His cost is really nice at $6,300, and he's been doing fairly well. I mean, his average DraftKings points, so far this season are 25. So I'm just looking for him to just do his average, get a few more points as far as place differential, maybe some fast laps. And he's right there at his average, and that's all I need him to produce to fill in those gaps from the top players. And so I'm looking at AJ Allmendinger this week to do some dirty work.
Yeah, AJ. Okay.
Let me take it real quick because I'm the next guy. So, I like Dinger. He's been a consistent source of the 25 points, like you said, and at that price tag, you're getting a good bang for your buck. There's really not much. Adrian?
Yeah. AJ has an average start at Phoenix of 15.8, an average finish of 17.23. He had a strong top 15 run at Vegas last week. A lot, it's what you kind of need from AJ Allmendinger. If he finishes, he starts 22nd. If he finishes in 15th, he's going to get exactly what Jamie was just mentioning that you're going to want from AJ Allmendinger. I've seen AJ be on a lot of the lineups to take down GPPs because he's one of those players that's really sneaky because a lot of people don't even really know who AJ is because he's a specialist in the road course races, like mentioned. A lot of people are going to see AJ's racing at an oval track and they're going to say, oh, AJ's never won at an oval. But AJ likes cookie-cutter racetracks, and that's kind of what this is this week.
Right.
Agreed. And the last value guy we have for you this week is I'm feeling the need for speed, boys, and I'm going with the other Dillon, good old Maverick, Austin Dillon at 6,800. He qualified 15th, which is a little high for my liking, but in his limited exposure to Phoenix, he seems to be improving, and he actually grades out well by the NASCAR's grading system of elite drivers on the tracks. And he grades out as actually top 10 driver based on NASCAR's loop data, which calculates the running position, how fast the car is while they're in the running position, and whether the car was moving up or moving back, and throws out statistics like wrecking and things like that to give you a better synopsis of how good the guy is on that track. And I think at 6,800, you're getting a real good bargain bin here. And the reason why I love Austin Dillon, and so far he's been on almost all my cash lineups this year, all my lineups that I've cashed on this year in tournaments, is because he tends to go under own. He's always in that 35 to 50 point range. He doesn't seem to let you down. He may start 15th and he may finish 15th, but he'll get you the points you need, and you're not going to be upset with him unless something crazy happens like a wreck or equipment malfunction. What do you guys think? Adrian?
Austin Dillon has great team communication with Sergeant Labby. I really noticed that lately. You kind of saw it at the end of last year, and you've really started to see it kind of pick up and snowball as this year's gotten started. Austin, he's kind of there, as far as RCR success, and outperforming his teammates every week. You kind of just see it in the water that Austin Dillon kind of is kind of ready to be great. He's just waiting for it. He has a momentum boost from a top 5 finish at Vegas last week. He only has 3 career top 5 finishes, and last week was one of them. So you really got to be pumped about that. And he has a decent chance for place differential starting in 15th. I think Austin Dillon is in the right situation is definitely a top 15 guy. What about you, Jamie?
As far as his price point, 6,800, you can't do much better than that for somebody. I couldn't agree with you guys more. He's just like his brother. He's a little bit more tenured than his brother Ty, but he's still fresh out of the gate and learning his ways. But with more driving experience comes better results, and he's definitely one of those up and comers. And you can tell this year he's just on a different path than what he's been as far as last year. You can tell that he's got more confidence going into, because he knows what the routine is and he knows what to expect now. So I definitely think that he has a good chance to definitely have a top 10 and $6,800. It just really depends on how many points that he's going to produce for you coming from that 15 spot. I'm not going to be quite a bit all over him, but, sprinkle him in here and there.
Yeah. Actually, dude, I've started most of my lineups. Well, I've written them out by hand because I can't even look at the site. Thank you, DraftKings, for blocking me from even having access to the show. Adrian had to tweet me the prices this week. I couldn't even access them. But I've started every lineup that I've gotten written down in my little notebook with both Dillon brothers, and it frees up so much space that I can literally do whatever I want with the top elite drivers around them. And I love where both of the Dillon brothers are and the positions they're in. And it's been extremely successful for me in GPPs, and it comes with low ownership percentage. I would hopefully encourage you to do so, and hopefully it'll be with a profitable reward attached to it. So I think that pretty much wraps up our value segment for this week. That brings us to who's going to the garage. Everybody's favorite segment, because here's where we talk trash on the drivers or on their cars. Now, remember, it may not be that we actually think this guy's going to the garage for any reason. They could be overpriced. They could just have a bad track history, several things. But we'll give you those reasons when we start them off. And we'll start off with Adrian. Who's your guy to go to the garage this week?
My pick this week for going to the garage, it pains me so bad to see this because I think this guy is one of the most talented guys on the circuit. And he's kind of one of those guys that makes NASCAR great because he's so fun to watch. But, guys, my going to the garage pick is Kyle Larson. He's $8,300. He starts in the 7th position. It doesn't give you any opportunity for place differential. Kyle in his career has never been a guy to go out and lead a bunch of laps. And a stat that really just drew me away from Kyle this week, he's finished outside the top 20 in 8 of his last 10 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series starts. That's a little rough. That team's going through a real bad rough patch right now. And Kyle definitely wants to get them back on the right track. But I don't know if Phoenix is the week that they do that. They had a strong qualifying effort of 7th, but I just think that backwards is where Kyle's headed. He has negative place differential in 3 of his last 4 Phoenix starts. He has an average start here of 8 and an average finish of 16, which 8th is just about right there where he's starting in 7th, and that go ahead and tells you on average he's going to finish with 15. So Kyle's just a guy at 8,300 when you could pay, it's $800 more and get him, one of those elite guys that are at 9K. And his last 2 starts, he's finished 26th and 34th. Kyle Larson's just very unsafe for me. What about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Adrian. I just can't put my faith into somebody that's starting that high and obviously has been slipping as of late. So the target vehicle is definitely not one that I'm going to be aiming at this week for sure.
Yeah, I'm off of it too, dude. It's overqualification. It's that simple. I liked where he was priced. I liked other things about it, but you're only going to fall back according to your track history, man. If you prove us wrong, so be it. But
well, and that's the thing too with being at that price point at 80, what Adrian talked about a little bit, but being at that price point of 8,300, I mean, I would much rather take step down for a guy that has a lot more potential to earn a lot more points or move up. Why would I pick somebody right in the middle, and especially that just doesn't have real good history here? And then, like Adrian talked about, their team is just not on par, and they're just not on the same level right now. And this is not the track that's going to change.
I wanted him to start from the back of the pack to make a play, and the reason why I was saying he was going to be played is because of the awkward pricing. Right, you would get him at super low ownership percentage even if he was in the back. But that's not the case, so fade him. I agree with y'all. Lear, who's your guy going to the garage this week?
My not burning rubber, but going to the garage guy is Paul Menard. Menard has a horrible history here at Phoenix. I don't look for that to change this weekend, just to magically for him to just know what he's doing here at the mile track. Paul's just not comfortable racing on small tracks, and it looks like, being in heavy traffic also really bothers him too. He has raced here 18 times. He's got 2 top 10 finishes, and the best part is he has 0, yes, and I do repeat, 0 laps led in almost 10 years of racing at Phoenix. His cost is enticing at $6,500. He starts in the 16th spot, but I look for him to fade into the rear of the field. even possibly get caught up in a wreck. I mean, obviously you can't foresee that, but it's just not. He's just not a strong driver here at the Phoenix International Raceway. To his credit, though, I will give him this, that he has 0 DNFs, but Paul Menard, he qualified too high. Track history clearly telling us to stay away, and I recommend you do the same advice and stay away from Paul Menard this weekend.
Yeah, Paul Menard's price is like a little intriguing to me, but you're right. Track history just doesn't pan out, and I think some people will be on him after his last couple performances that have helped people win money. So I think it's actually an easy fade with his track history here, and hopefully we're right on this. What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, I agree. Easy fade for sure. He has an average start of 18th and an average finish of 21st. That's just mediocre, to say the least, if you want to even consider that to be mediocre. Jamie pointed out the most important stat of all. In 18 Phoenix starts, he only has 2 top 10s. I mean, you kind of want your drivers to finish in the top 10, and he's not going to be one that likes to do that for you. And most of his laps here are ran, we were talking about NASCAR's loop data. Most of his laps are ran around the 22nd position here, and that's just fade.
Yep, all day long. And I think the only person that grades out worse on this track is my going to the garage, and that's Casey Mears at 6,200. His average start is 22.8. His average finish is 25.6. He qualified 25th, but he's probably not going to go anywhere or get you any points for fastest laps or laps led. He also holds the records for the most starts without a top 10 at 23. In his last 5 starts, he has done absolutely nothing impressive. I don't want you to get caught up on that $6,200 price tag, because a lot of people are going to be reaching for value this week to try to get squeeze studs into lineup. That's just the way NASCAR DFS works, and I don't want any of it. I will pay up or pay down for anybody. He's one of the slowest cars out there, and I think he's going to get passed by the other cars, and he's going to just stay with that group of people that aren't going to run good on this track and fall back with the rest of them. What do you think, Adrian?
Casey Mears' favorite thing to do at Phoenix is ride around in 32nd, 3 laps down. When the races come around, I generally, if I have any kind of free time, I'll give a quick watch through maybe a 2012 Phoenix race or 2014 Phoenix race just randomly. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like every time I would watch one of those races, Casey Mears is always in 32nd. That's what I'm watching for when I go back and watch these races. I'm just kind of trying to see what the trends are like in the race and where drivers kind of fall to. And Casey just seems to be one that likes to ride around, around 30th. He has only four top 15 finishes in 23 Phoenix starts, and like you said, only 23 starts and 0 top 10s. Unimpressive to say the least. What about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm definitely off the Casey Mears train this week as well, boys. As far as that goes, the pricing is intriguing at 6,200, but there's just way too many better options out there for my money. Plus, I just have this feeling that Mears is going to get on the communication, call up the Geico Gecko, because he is going to be out there in the desert and need some assistance to go to that garage. So I'm definitely staying away.
Yeah, easy. I think all 3 of our going to the garage plays are solid this week, and they're just plays you don't want to mess with at all.
Come on, Papa.
What?
I said they're solid every week. Come on.
I know, no. I mean, but and if you've been following them, you really except for the one I messed up on early, week 1, with the Truex pick, we've been spot on with our going to the garages this season. So I fade all 3 of these guys, and if you play them at your own peril. With that said, I'm going to throw Lear and Adrian a curveball here. Because I don't have internet access, I'm not going to be able to put the lineup together. So you guys are going to have DraftKings pulled up, and you guys are going to have to tell us.
I got this.
All right.
I got it up soon.
All right, Adrian, you're going to have to tell us what salaries we have remaining. I just get to present you guys with a beautiful view of Caesars in the backdrop. Other than that, I'm here for posterity's sake when it comes to this. So, all right, Adrian, what should we be looking at when we're putting together this lineup this week? What are you thinking?
Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and show everybody like what a Harvick tournament team should look like. So let's go ahead and plug him in there.
All right, so 10-8 off the board.
Go ahead, Jamie.
What does that leave us average per, guys?
That leaves us 78.40 per.
Yeah.
All right. Lear, your turn.
I'm gonna, go ahead and I'm gonna roll with. Let's go ahead and just put the Ty Dillon play in there because that way we can see what else we got left and what we can spend.
Scroll all the way to the bottom and grab Ty Dillon at 5,400. It's a great feeling when you can just scroll all the way down there and see that nice value sitting there.
Right. It frees up some good money, too. Where are we at?
Now we have 8,450 left per driver.
8,000.
If I can interject, let's get some Dale Earnhardt Jr. in here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't just because of the ownership percentage, but that's me. I
just think starting in the 26th position, I just think he's easy money. I mean, even if everyone else has him, he's going to be a guy you need on your team.
All right,
but you're right. His ownership is going to be high, but I don't think I'm worried about that. I mean, are you, Jamie?
No, I'm definitely not. I'm going with the guys that are going to produce.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. I'm just going to but on your tournament lineup so far, you have a guy that's going to be 80% owned and a guy that's at least going to be 45% owned, if not 65% owned, which is his usual line.
You're right, but there may be a good reason why the ownership percentages are that high, and you know that.
I know, but I just want to create that narrative for the viewers.
You're completely correct. I mean, there's multiple different ways we could go with this lineup, but I mean, if I'm just looking at it and I'm just going on here at first glance, like if I'm building a lineup, these are the guys I would pick. I mean,
right.
You have anybody in mind, Papa, that you want to throw on this team? We have 8,200 per left.
Well, dude, let's free up some more salary and go ahead and roster Austin Dillon there. Let's see if we can't bump us up into the nines.
Okay. Austin Dillon.
So
we need
the Dillon.
if we roll with Austin Dillon, we're gonna be punting. So we need to go a little farther down.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it leaves us with 9,000 if we put Austin Dillon on
there. Yeah, it's like 8,900. Let's see here. Just kind of let's go ahead and throw. What do you think about AJ Allmendinger since we suggested him earlier?
Yeah, dude, go ahead and use Lear's pick of the dinger there. And then I'm going to mandate that you play my Carl Edwards
We have 9,150 left.
Oh. So we can't get Carl in there.
We can get Carl. We just have to go down in another position. And I have some people we can use.
Yeah,
all right, so I'm confused because on my lineup I've got 10,350. So did we put Earnhardt in or did we not?
I'd put Earnhardt in. We don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and put Earnhardt in.
You know what? Yeah, let's put him in there.
And go ahead and put Cousin Carl in there.
Okay, Carl's on there.
All right, so read off our lineup so far, bro, and tell us what we have left.
Okay, our lineup so far is Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Carl Edwards, AJ Allmendinger, and Ty Dillon. And our remaining salary is $8,900. And if I were to be left with this amount of salary, I would probably go with Chase Elliott at $7,700 and then probably upgrade somebody. What about you guys? Because Chase Elliott starts 21st.
Right.
And he's been very successful of late. And you know he's not going to crash, 3 out of 4 weeks.
Only thing I don't like about Chase Elliott this week is I feel he's kind of...
His ownership percentage could be decent.
Yeah, but in my own opinion, I think he's going to be just starting at the position. I think, was he starting 17th, 18th?
21st. No, wait, hold on. 17th, you're right.
No, 17th. So, for me, I think that's just too high, boys, for me.
Okay, that's fine with me. Let's see. We could throw Austin Dillon in there.
We already have Austin Dillon, don't we?
Yeah, well, wait.
Oh, no, we have Ty. We don't have Austin.
Dillon. Yeah, we replaced him. We could have both Dillons, and then we have a lot of salary left. If we were to...
Yeah, so here's what I have. What I thought we had is I have Kevin Harvick, Ty Dillon, Austin Dillon, AJ Allmendinger, and Earnhardt with one spot left.
Yeah, one spot was supposed to be taken by Carl.
11,500 still on the. So that basically leaves you anybody on the board that you want.
Yeah. So you got. It's sorry. Bear with us, guys, because this is a little harder since Papa's usually the one that controls this, and he can't even see the salaries. But so far, tell me if I'm wrong. I have Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ty Dillon, AJ Allmendinger, Carl Edwards with 8,900 left.
Yeah, the difference there is like you guys swap two different picks. Like both lineups are legit to show what we're trying to show the guys, how to set the lineup. So in other words, if you go the one way, you're left 8,900, which kind of puts you in no man's land on this slate.
Yep.
Like you have to reach down with the lineup that we're at with Adrian, and with the lineup we have with Lear, we actually undershot it, and we have so much money left over.
You can pick anybody.
Right, and here's what I'd recommend, guys. I'm not sure you need to upgrade from this line. Like if you have money left over, doing the Dillon plays like we've talked about and saving some value, I think that helps you create a unique lineup that for GPPs only. Like,
Yep.
I've noticed that people are not comfortable with leaving salary on the board in NASCAR, especially. Like it seems to be more than most sports out there. They try to use every bit of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those weeks where you don't have, like you said, you don't have to use all your salary. There's a lot of good value out there, and maybe some of that value is going to outperform some of the chalk.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Lear, who are you going to round out your team? Since we have anybody, who would you round out that team with?
Well, here's the thing: is we didn't even talk about this really during the show yet, and I think that this is the prime time to discuss this. But Jimmy Johnson, okay?
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson has dominated, the Phoenix track. When it comes to him, he's going to be the second highest to Kevin Harvick as far as salary is concerned. I believe it's, 10,300.
Mm-hmm.
So he's one of those guys. He's in a Chevy. But the thing is he's going to be starting from the rear of the field. And I forget, what did he qualified at?
He qualified in the fifth position. Sorry.
Fifth position, correct.
Yes.
So you're going to be losing all of that place differential with him falling to the back of the field. And I don't know, it's going to be virtually, it's not impossible, but this is not the racetrack where you want to be starting from the rear.
I agree. And I have a really weird feeling that he's going to get caught up with those really slow cars in the first couple of laps, and something screwy is going to happen. I don't know why. It's just an instinctual thing here. And I could be completely wrong. It's just my gut telling me not to make that play. What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, when a driver starts in the back like that, unless their car is really good at the start of the race. Like last week, we had guys that we picked that were in the back. We had a competition caution at lap 25. And what that does, guys, is that really helps us out because it gives our drivers a chance to come in. It brings the field together. And it makes sure that our driver doesn't go a lap down if he's starting so far back in the field. The Phoenix is kind of one of those tracks. I mentioned that it was a cookie cutter earlier. When drivers get to where it's kind of like bumper to bumper traffic, kind of like a Martinsville, and one car in front of them is really slow and you can't get around them, that's going to slow that whole line down. Maybe like 6 or 7 cars are going to be a lot slower. And the leader has in clean air and he's just taking off laps. And Phoenix is only a mile-long track. So if the driver's in the back of the pack and their car is not on from the start, they're going to be in trouble very fast. It's very hard to build a lineup this week, in my opinion, because you got to decide if you want, 2 punts and then try to fill out your lineup with the rest of the studs, or if you want to go a little even keel. But I don't know. It's wide open to me.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you, brother. I think either we're going to be all on or we're going to be way off this week. It's just one of those weeks that it's hard to predict what's going to happen because, anything can happen in the strategy into this week, especially with one of the favorites, Jimmy Johnson, starting from the rear of the field. It definitely throws a monkey wrench into some people's strategies.
But with that being said, I'm not at all worried about Jimmy Johnson starting in the back of the pack. If I could pick anyone to start at the back of the pack and say go win, Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus are the two that I want on my team. So that's not even a factor for me.
The real problem is on a short track like this, where with all the things that we've talked about, especially if he gets behind the wrong cars and gets knocked back a lap or two. My one concern with Johnson, like I was saying, is that he has to get all the way back up to 5th before he starts accruing any points for you, unless you're convinced that he's going to be the fastest car on the track, or because he's not going to be leading laps while he's in the process of at least getting up to 5th. So he has to literally be the fastest car on the track. and this track is so small. I think though he's in a good car, he's going to get caught up. And never underestimate. I know they're supposed to be the same car, almost the exact same car, but it is a backup car. Now we've seen plenty of people win with backup cars, but it is a factor. So Adrian, what do you think? Like, are you guys going to override me and play Jimmy?
Well, I mean, I don't want to necessarily say I disagree with you, but I mean, Jimmy Johnson is as safe as it gets. I mean, as far as like just a driver you can count on, he's guaranteed to give you the fastest laps. They're going to be the fastest car at some point during that race. He's not going to get you those fastest laps as he's going through traffic. But I mean, if you're talking about the close quarter racing and how tight it's going to be for them to get up through the pack, you got to think that maybe we're going to have a few more cautions than we've seen so far this season.
Definitely.
So I think that, the cautions and the pit strategy and checking out is going to make a lot of good calls. 2 tire stops, and Jimmy has decent track history here. Not at all worried about starting from the rear.
So that gives us our lineup, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah, I think we're rounded out. Jamie, you want to go ahead and tell us what we're working with?
Yeah.
All right, boys. So as far as that goes, we've got Kevin Harvick at 10.8, Ty Dillon at 5,400, Austin Dillon at 6,800, AJ Allmendinger at the 6,300, Dale Earnhardt Jr. at 9,200, and Jimmy Johnson at 10,300, with a remaining salary of 1,000.
That's a lot of money, but we were just saying, you can get away with it.
Right.
Yeah. The problem is
you got the top 2 salary wise.
Yeah.
On the team.
The salary is just weak.
And for a team that I don't really like, I'm not like a huge fan of because I just gut fade and want to. Like, I actually really like that lineup. And you can leave the 1,200 on the table. Hopefully, then being different.
And no one else is going to leave that 1,200 on the table.
I don't think they will either. Yeah, I agree. So is that what we're going to roll with? Just roll with that lineup?
I think we roll with that, and it just goes to show people that if you don't like any of these picks, like Papa said, it's not going to help you to just copy this exactly. What we're trying to do is we're trying to establish a good base for you to work with when you go in and start your lineups. So just take our lineup and just fiddle with it,
And remember, there's nobody that's a god in daily fantasy, man. It's all about the process, and that's what we try to focus on here, is teaching you the right process. With that said, I think that wraps up another Rubbing His Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and favorite on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and on FantasyDonks.com as always. I'll let you guys say goodbye, and let's get out of here. All right, let's start with Lear. Say your byes.
All right, guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your trip in Vegas, Papa. Rock Chalk Jayhawk this weekend in the Big 12 tournament. And
I wouldn't have given you the time to talk if you were going to promote
NASCAR
Jayhawk
this weekend, boys.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't have given you time to talk if you were going to promote Jayhawk awfulness. Adrian, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, man, Jayhawk. I'm more of a Tar Heel guy myself, but I'll let it slide. Thank you for joining us, guys. We hope we helped you out to make some decent picks for this weekend. Really excited for the racing action to get started in Phoenix, and if we don't win any money, we hope it's you.
Yep. And like always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Vegas, get your crap together and get DFS legal again. The view from Caesars is great, guys. We will be back next week with more Rubbing His Racing action. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
Peace.